I firstly believe we should remove the word digital advertising, because the moment we say advertising, we get very confined to the idea of creating another TVC for a digital platform or just creating another press layout which is going to go on our digital platform. Rather, I think as an industry, we should really reshape our thoughts and look at digital as an avenue on how we converse with our customers, because it's only one of the few avenues where you can directly talk to your customers and you can interact with them, and you can also in real time see how they interact with you as a brand, as a company, or as an entity that kind of is, encapsulated in their life. So I think in terms of digital, we are still kind of scratching the surface overall. I think we have a very, very long way to go, which I believe is a bigger opportunity than a threat or a weakness in general. So if you talk about digital overall, I think there are lots of opportunities, but I think digital is one of the few places where you can truly go granular and you can actually maintain, because we do work with a large base like many of the other companies here, but in this large base you can only use digital to kind of go granular, and you can maintain omnipresence by actually creating segments and truly understanding your consumers' behavior. So just a few pointers that I think, whether it's overall digital or even when we're talking about digital outdoor, I think we first really need to analyze and understand our customers' behavior and truly understand what is it that they're looking for. So in terms of content, whether they are actually, it's not about creating the most beautifully well furnished video. Rather, in digital space, consumer engages with things that are very candid, that are very natural. They're not looking for things that look pre-made. And at the same time, it's not just about a video economy in digital that we are talking about. Sometimes even something as simple status like look down below works so much better because it generates interest. So I think overall, how we look at digital, there are three things. One, you really need to deep dive and understand how your consumers are behaving. And I think no longer one solution fits all. So we need to be able to understand that each customer is very different and the way they interact with themselves and their environment is different. And we need to take in all that insight to kind of refurbish the kind of content we put out to them, so that increases their interaction. We need to look out also how we reach out to them. So if we are going to reach out to a market somewhere in Rampur or Chittagong, it might as well be a very good idea to talk to them that in relevance to the cultural nuances that are very relevant to them, rather than generalizing the entire country and creating one solution. So we can optimize the way we target people, we can optimize the way our content is set out, but at the same time, I think the insights that we gather is not just limited to how we use it in digital, because the insights we gather should predominantly dominate how our products look. For us, especially at Grameenphone, being a company which has the liberty to have a customers on the online platform where we can close the loop end to end, it's important to see how we can use all of those insights to reframe our product, to reframe our customer journey and the experience we're providing. Even when somebody is looking at an app, we need to be able to identify at what space in the app do they look at, what kind of area does their eye level actually match, where do they click when they first get into the app, and even introducing gamification to our overall environment. And gamification is not just limited to app, but even in terms of how your retail works. If it's raining outside, what if our retail points or our GPCs actually says that it's raining outside? How about you come inside and take shelter for a little while? So I think being able to optimize the entire ecosystem is very important, and being able to optimize everything starting from not just our social media feeds, but how when a customer, because in the customer's mind, it should not be that my social media feed looks completely different from how my app looks. It shouldn't be that when they walk into our retail or when they see us physically, it's a complete different journey. There needs to be one relevant journey mapping for the customers as well. So we need to be able to optimize all those different ends and create a synchronized journey, so that from my social, when they're going to move to my app because they have seen a product that has interested them, they go in and they find the content that they're there for. It shouldn't just be like they've they've clicked on it looking for a certain product, and then they've gone in and gotten lost in an area of different conversations. So to be able to create a synchronized journey is very important. And I also feel that is where digital outdoor really comes into play, because for digital outdoor as well, and I think more than markets like Dhaka, I think digital outdoor has a very big opportunity in places where digital penetration in general is low among the customers. Because in a place like Dhaka, where you're you're completely into social media, even when you go out, you see people scrolling in their phone, they're already exposed to different kind of communication. They can drag communication. But when you go outside of Dhaka, when you go to a very rural area, somewhere, maybe in Khulna or in Chittagong or in Rajshahi, where people are not heavily dependent on smartphones, then their attention span to their surroundings are very, very significant. And in those areas, when you have one billboard which has been plastered for the last, 6 months, you're losing out on huge opportunity. So having interactive billboards or interactive mediums in those areas where people may not have as much exposure to just being able to go into Google and get something, that is very effective. You can effectively change the communication you're driving. You can effectively change the communication based on season, based on time. So that is a big opportunity as well. So rather than just focusing on markets which are already into the digital area, I think this kind of outdoor solutions are really relevant for places where the penetration of digital may not be as high. And I think also because this kind of areas where digital penetration is generally low and your customers are not necessarily on their mobile phones all the time, being able to interact with the customers is very important. So if you can create a digital outdoor space where even a simple screen can actually have a conversation with your customer, so your customer walks by and if the screen actually says, "Hello, how are you doing today?" that's fantastic, because you cannot reach to them in any other way but through interactive digital media like that. So I think digital outdoor is very essential, and especially for areas where overall digital penetration is also lower, because then this becomes the physical outlet where it allows you to interact with your customers to a very similar nature in which you would interact with them if they were in digital. And I think overall, having said that about digital, I think it's very important that we also take our insights and not just look into how we are placing our content in digital, how we are placing our content in outdoor, but we actually create an entire experience journey. So per se to say, if I see that the gaming habit in Khulna is very high, I should be able to use that insight that I got from a digital platform and optimize my network in a way so that people over there can have a better experience when it comes to gaming. So I think creating an entire ecosystem and a value chain that is kind of dominated by the insights we get from digital is very effective. So yeah, thanks.